We never experience energy directly, yet it surrounds us. Everything is made of energy, including ourselves. For most of our existence, energy was a simple matter. Fuel was everywhere, and there was always more. Mastering combustion was our first great energy technology. The research and development took 2 million years.
3, 2, 1.
But about 3 centuries ago, we sired a mighty genie named Progress, who gave us powers beyond belief. His price? Energy. An easy bargain, why not? We didn't care where we got it. There was plenty. Our forefathers could never have imagined the wonders we possess, nor their terrible side effects. Our genie's appetite has grown immense now. Unless we control his hunger soon, we may not have a life of our own, or even be able to breathe. Hello, I'm John Dennis. This program is about natural gas, one of the kinds of energy and technology we'll use to make a better 21st century. Our story was recorded over a 5-year period, and we'll start with the grim side of the 20th century. The use of oil has created massive pollution problems. The father of our country didn't start out with a bad complexion. Acid rain falling on Washington Square Park in downtown New York ate him away. In rural areas, acid rain damages forests and crops. Industrial smokestack emissions, auto exhaust, and petroleum-based fertilizers are the causes. The ill winds blow on country and city alike, and massive amounts of homegrown pollutants add to the problem. About 100 cities fail ozone standards. Over 40 fail carbon monoxide standards. There's more.
New York City has more diesel soot than most cities in America. In fact, New York City has never met the air quality standard for diesel soot.
The exhaust trail leads us here.
Okay, go deep breaths. All the way in.
It's non-stop. Sometimes on a normal day, whatever day that could be, she can just get an asthma attack. The pollution in the air, just go outside and she's just sitting around and she can start wheezing.
If you look at the trend in prevalence of asthma and asthma admissions, it's been going up steadily, and it's correlated pretty well with the Industrial Revolution and factories and a number of automobiles. More recently, we've documented that as far as admissions to Kings County Hospital go, there's been roughly a 10% increase per year over the last 4 or 5 years. Usually the patient requires a minimum of 2 to 3 days of hospitalization and considerable amount of intensive therapy, including oxygen therapy, intravenous fluids, intravenous medications such as anti-inflammatories, immunosuppressants. Usually they'll have to have the chest x-rays repeated, and it tends to be a fairly intensive therapy to get them through the acute phase.
I worry about Nicole all the time. Going to the hospital, back and forth, the emergency room, taking medications around the clock, during school hours, at night. It's very difficult.
Bronchial asthma in childhood, it has become a national problem. And it is a syndrome, meaning a symptom complex. And it is estimated to affect somewhere around 6 to 7% of all children at the national level. And unfortunately, the prevalence of this problem is several-fold more among the black children and Hispanic children.
Here in New York, there's another group that's disproportionately impacted. Those are the low-income communities and the communities of color that are home to many of the diesel depots where literally hundreds of buses go every day to idle while they wait for refueling or maintenance, putting their black soot, their diesel smoke into residential communities. Some of these depots are actually right in dense residential communities next to housing projects, across the street from schools, across the street from places where people live, shop, play, and breathe.
It is considerably more, we anticipate it to be more in the borough of Brooklyn. And our estimate is that of the general population of Brooklyn, there are at least 50 to 60,000 children with chronic asthma.
One of them is Sylvester. Sylvester's lungs don't work very well. They must be monitored regularly.
Usually I get an attack if I cough. A certain type of cough. I know when there's a certain type of cough that you cough, it's from your chest, it just goes up, then you just get it right there. That's how I get most of my attacks. I don't think it has to do with, to me, I don't think it has to do with the weather or anything. I get it in the summer, winter, fall, it doesn't matter.
There is a push. They realize the problem here in Salt Lake City, and they're trying to address it, but lots of people out in the West, a lot of communities in the West are growing rapidly, and that strains everything. The transit, the commuting, the building, the industry that's coming here. Even though in the West they like to have clean industry, that's not always the case. It's hard to get around in the West without a personal vehicle. And there's still some mystique to that it's kind of like your horse and you get on your horse by yourself and ride off into the sunset. So I think some of that Western mystique has followed us into the 21st century with our personal automobiles. And these are things that are going to have to change.
Yes, they should switch. Fresh, clean air is our heritage and a fundamental right that should never be tampered with. Our air is part of the living web that nurtures and sustains us, the web that we too are part of, and the web we take our energy from. The plants and creatures who came before us, 1 billion years of life settled deep within the earth, transformed into oil and gas. Natural gas is mostly methane, rich in hydrogen, the ultimate fuel, and low in carbon. Natural gas is a simple substance, unlike petroleum, which is a mixture of very complex molecules. Natural gas serves us so quietly and so well it's taken for granted. Many people don't even know what it is. Yet it supplies a quarter of our energy. 50 million homes, 4 million businesses heat or cook with natural gas. But it supplies barely 1% of our transportation needs. When it is used for vehicles, natural gas is served up 2 ways. LNG, a liquid 260 degrees below zero, and as CNG, a gas compressed to 3,000 or 3,600 pounds per square inch. These days, the emissions from auto exhausts are sniffed molecule by molecule. Compared with gasoline, the results for natural gas are pretty impressive. Natural gas burns more completely than gasoline, releasing 80% less hydrocarbons, 95% less carbon monoxide, less carbon dioxide, and lower oxides of nitrogen, too. There is minute evaporation, but that's less than gasoline also. Natural gas can do something about this, which, by the way, is the bunny slope of air pollution. This mild warning is posted in Long Beach, but just up the road in Los Angeles, the air is so bad that 1 day out of 3, kids aren't even supposed to go outside, much less play. The city of Long Beach has 265 natural gas vehicles in service. That's a drop in the bucket. But City CNG Coordinator Paul Smock says every little bit helps. What's the practical effect of driving a cleaner vehicle? A field employee named Jack Pruitt told me. Has there been any change in your life thanks to this truck?
Oh my God, yes. The diesel truck that I was driving before for about 10 years, I have an allergy and a sinus condition, and working out in the street with that diesel truck, all this black smoke coming out and going all over the place, and I'm breathing this stuff all day, every day for 8 hours. That didn't help my allergies or sinus condition at all. Then they came up with the natural gas truck, and my allergies seemed like they cleared up and improved over 50%, I would say.
Jack's doctor confirmed he is better, but Jack's a rare case. Unfortunately, in an oil-dominated world, there are few ways we can escape pollution. But so long as we're not sick ourselves, health issues aren't enough to make most of us care. We're comfortable with petroleum, all right, to the tune of $1 billion a week that leaves the U.S. to buy it. This comes right out of our pockets. And some estimate that since the mid-'80s, it's also cost 500,000 U.S. jobs. Does importing oil really do this much damage to our economy? Are we at risk to fight for it again? I wanted a more objective opinion. The Congressional Research Service is bipartisan, with special review safeguards to ensure accuracy and impartiality. Hi, Dave.
Oh, hi, John. Come on in.
Good to see you.
Well, it's a delight to meet you finally after all this talk we've had on the telephone.
I have heard of estimates of the real cost of a barrel of oil at as high as $300 a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
Oh, yes. But I've also seen the bases on which those numbers are derived. And you have to make, that's what you might call a true worst-case assumption. And one of the real problems with this is the common cost center problem. You have to have a military capability anyway. If you project it to the Middle East, you have to have a certain capability to project it to that region of the world of which the Middle East is a part. So the issue is how much of the cost of having that ability to project your power to the region should you ascribe to the barrel of oil?
And some people say that oil is just a commodity. We buy it from, who knows, 20, 25 different countries, and there's no real energy security problem in the global world, is global society.
And I think that if you look at any equilibrium model of the world economy or the national economy, that is not an unreasonable conclusion to draw. An equilibrium model. But we've had 3 upsets in the last 25 years. We had the Arab embargo of '73, we had the Iraq-Iran war of '79, and we had the Saddam adventure in 1990, or 90, I guess it was 1990. In each one of those episodes, the cost of the U.S. economy was in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Are you saying billions?
I'm saying billions, right. And there's one estimate that the total cost of the OPEC cartel power from 1972 is around $4 trillion.
$4 trillion, the national debt. But the full cost, higher, much higher.